Okay, let's start with the family values card sorting activity that I developed. So this is a fun activity that you can do together as a family. And this activity will be downloadable as part of the mini course. Before I talk to you about how to do the activity, I want to make sure I've given you some tips that will help give you the best chance of success. So my first tip is about timing. So you want to pick a good time for the activity. This means if you've got younger kids and they've come home from school and they're feeling really tired, probably not the best time. Or if you've got older kids and they're getting ready, in half an hour, they want to head out the door to see friends or head off to sport training, then half an hour is probably not long enough and you might want to pick a different time. So maybe a good time for you is at a family meal, or maybe it's a Saturday morning after breakfast. It can be any time as long as it's a time that works for you guys. Okay, and then preparation. So what you want to do is introduce the idea of values and the idea that you get to choose what type of family you want to be. And you might start this with something like, oh, hey, do you know what values are? Or what type of family do we want to be? You might start it with something like, what do you think makes us us? Or if one of your friends asked, what type of family are we? Like, what would you say to them? You might have to explain, especially if you have younger kids, a little bit more about what values are, and you'll have all of that information in the first part of the course to help you with that. An extra tip is that as a parent, if you are more clear about your parenting values, that will stand you in good stead moving towards family values. So you might want to take some time as a parent or as a co-parenting team to think about what are our parenting values in terms of how we want to raise our kids. It can just give you a nice platform to launch from there to the family values. And here's the activity. So once you download the activity, print it out, cut all of the cards up, and then what you need to do is decide how many of the cards that you want to use. Now, this is up to you, because if you, for example, got a family with younger kids, what you might want to do is take that parental position of leadership, decide which is the smaller pool of values that you want to choose from and talk about, and then just use those. If you've got values that are not on the cards, there are some blank cards that you can add your values to. And also, if you have different language or a different way of saying some of the values, there's some blank cards that you can change there too. So have a think about the age of your kids, what is going to work best. Will you use all of the cards because you have older kids? Will you use less? And just make sure you select the cards that work for you. Okay, and then next. So you have two options here. Option one, which is probably more suited to older kids, is to do this all together as a family. So I would recommend that you lay all the cards out on a table, because that's much easier to see and think about than to be flipping through the cards individually. And once all the cards are laid out, as a family, you can discuss the value cards and maybe make a short list of 15 and then keep talking it through and try to whittle it down to 5. But you might find that's a bit tricky and end up somewhere between 5 and 10 shared core family values. Option 2 is to individually go through the cards and make your own shortlists and then compare them as a family. So if, for example, in this situation, you might go through, choose your top 5 cards and then make a little list, keep that to yourself for a surprise, put the cards back, and then the next family member goes up and does the same thing, and the next family member. And then when everyone's finished, you sit down with your lists of your values and you get to have this great conversation around what's the same and what's different. And so in this part of the conversation, you get some really beautiful insights into what aspects of family life matter to different family members and what the shared components are, even between maybe parts of the family, if not the whole family. And so you get to really talk that through and then as a family decide on those top 5 to 10 values. And then write them down and put them on the fridge or somewhere where everyone can see them. Have that visual cue to help hold them in mind. This is one of the family values cards that you can fill out that will be downloadable, but I also have some more options for you.